It's Throwback Thursday, where we review books published over 50 years ago, so let's take a trip to the past. Janie saw her life like a great tree in leaf, with things suffered, things enjoyed, things done and undone. Dawn and doom was in the branches. This is the opening of Chapter 2 in the 1937 novel Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And in this story, we follow Janie Mae Crawford, a young woman who, like the metaphor of the tree, witnessed both the beauty and ugliness of mankind. The book starts with Janie coming back home to a gossiping town about her whereabouts and life up to that point. Sitting on the porch with her was her good friend Phoebe, and Janie, who at the time was in her early 40s, reminisced about her own life and upbringing. She takes us back to the age of 16, where she lived with her grandmother, who she called Nanny, on a small piece of land near the white folks' home that her grandmother worked at. Her nanny, cautious and protective of her only granddaughter, states that she wants Janie to hurry up and get married, as this will offer a form of protection when her grandmother eventually passes away. With no choice in the matter, Nanny pairs Janie to get married to a man named Logan Killicks, a relatively older and rich black man. However, 3 months into the marriage, Janie expresses to her nanny that she wishes she could love Logan, yet the desire is simply not there. Nanny tells Janie that she's lucky as a Negro woman to have a man with Logan's status, effectively diluting Janie's concept of what love is. As time went on, Nanny would pass away, leaving Janie in a loveless marriage. There was no cohesion or camaraderie between Janie and Logan, none whatsoever. In fact, one day as Logan went out on the town to run some errands, Janie would meet a very charismatic and eloquent man named Joe Starks. Joe was passing through town headed to Eatonville, Florida, as he heard Negroes were building their own town down there. He told Janie he had aspirations of becoming a big speaker and would go on to convince her to leave her husband and join him in his quest. Officially in her second marriage, Janie accompanied Joe down to Eatonville. As soon as they arrived, Joe began working voraciously. He held speeches on their porch, purchased 200 acres of land, built a store in the middle of the town, and helped build roads within the town. During this time, the citizens would go on to name Joe mayor of the town. However, with the rising profile, things weren't necessarily good in Joe and Janie's marriage. Feeling more and more like a prop, Janie expressed to Joe her sense of loneliness as Joe put her in charge of running the store in the town. Joe even made her wrap up her long, beautiful hair, as he knew men would only come to the store and marvel over them. Joe refuted, stating that his rise of being a big boy subsequently made her a big woman in the community as well. The two would continue to have their clashes, with Joe jealous of men lusting over his wife, hence why he hid her in the store, and Janie accusing Joe of being controlling and possessive over her. Years had passed and Janie was now 35. Her marriage had no life in it, and at this point, Joe had become verbally abusive, even ridiculing Jane in front of company and random townspeople. Fed up, Janie fired back, questioning Joe's manhood in front of a group of men. This would lead Joe to shun her even as he became gravely sick and later died. The town had a grand funeral for their former mayor, and in typical low-vibrational fashion, many of the men shot their shots at the new widow. Janie, however, kept to herself, within the book stating, "She sat around lakes and fished. She was just basking in freedom for the most part, without the need for thought." One evening when the townspeople had all gone to a local ball game, Janie stayed and manned the store till closing. It was here when she would meet an out-of-towner named Virgil Woods, better known as Tea Cake. The conversation was crisp and the two would go on to get married, much to all the other townspeople's dismay. However, Janie didn't care. With this being her third marriage, and with Tea Cake being 12 years younger than her, the two would go on to complement each other in ways Janie had dreamt of when she first conceptualized love. Don't get me wrong, TK was quite adventurous in comparison to the conservative Janie, and in a few cases, he had questionable approaches in regards to the woman he claimed to love. Yet he taught her how to shoot, he introduced her to country living, and he was a consistent gambler. Janie appreciated the spontaneity of Tea Cake. The couple would eventually move down to the Everglades for work, and though money was good, there was a looming hurricane. Tea Cake, not one to run from danger, insisted that they stay and let the storm pass, stating that the work would be plentiful due to all the people fleeing north. However, this plan would be the couple's detriment. No, the hurricane didn't kill them, but in fact, it was Janie who would go on to kill the only man she truly loved. But let her tell you that. Let her tell you why, after 3 marriages, she was able to truly understand what liberation meant. Their Eyes Were Watching God, a Harlem Renaissance and American classic, and arguably Zora Neale Hurston's finest work. Like if you enjoyed this segment, share if it could benefit others, subscribe for more book-related content. Till then, stay in the book and stay out the way.